In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to baste your quilt sandwich with simple pool noodles. And it starts right now. Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Today's video is part 2 in a series called Buried Alive. In part 1, I showed you how I took all my scraps and turned them into a scrappy crumb quilt quickly in one day. If you missed that video, no worries. Click the link right up here in the top right hand corner and you can watch that one first. But in today's video, it's all about learning how to baste that quilt. Gone are the days of us crawling around on the floor to baste our quilts. If by the end of this video you're still not sure what the right and wrong side of your batting is, I will give you a tip at the end of this video on how to figure it out with this pin. Enough talking already. Let's get basting. You will need 4 pool noodles. 1 for the quilt top, 1 for the batting, and 1 for the backing, and then 1 to roll them all up on after they are together. The pool noodles need to be the width of your quilt. So what I'm doing here is modifying 2 ends of a pool noodle so that I can miter them together. And here you see I just hollowed out one and then I left like a plug type on the other end, and then I'm going to add some glue and then I'm going to put them together, and then we're just going to hold them till it sets. But to make it even stronger, after I hold it together and the glue is set, I'm going to go ahead and use any kind of tape to seal that area just so it doesn't come off while it's rolled up with my quilt. Instead of a pool noodle, you can always use pipe insulation that you can find at any home improvement store. Don't throw them out after you're done. These can be used over and over and over again. If your work surface is not big enough to cover your quilt, add some tables to the end of them to help prop your quilt up. But the first thing you're going to do is grab your pool noodle and your quilt top with the quilt top facing up. You are going to pin that first part of your quilt top and then evenly roll up the rest of your quilt top, just like you see me do here in the video. Before I learned this method with the pool noodles, when I would make a quilt, I would have to get down on all fours on the floor and baste my quilt together. It actually was a nightmare. I would always fret getting down because of my back and trying to crawl all over the floor, make sure everything was even. I mean, I hated it. But with this method, it's easy peasy. When you get to the end, go ahead and pop 1 pin in to hold it and then set the quilt top roll aside. Now on to roll the batting. Did you know that there is a right and wrong side to place batting in your quilts? When I was first starting to make quilts, I never knew that. So I'm going to share it with you. If you run your hand lightly over one side of your batting, you will feel like a bumpy side. And then if you turn it over and lightly feel the other side, it feels more flat. Well, the flat side you want to go toward your backing, and the bumpy side, the fluffier side, you want to go toward your quilt top. If you don't place your batting properly within your quilt, then when you go to start to quilt your quilt, you will have little pieces of fuzz come up from the batting to the top of your quilt. The needle will actually pull it up with it. Now onto the backing of our quilt. With right side down, go ahead and pin and roll that pool noodle onto the backing. As a side note, I actually used an old sheath that I had on hand for my backing. And sometimes I even order vintage muslin sheets off of eBay to back my quilts. They're super soft and have a very strong thread count. So you're just going to continue to roll your backing right up onto that pool noodle, being sure that everything is nice and even. Now this is how we're going to put it all together. Take that backing and roll it out. With your hand, you're going to pull out any wrinkles. You want it to be nice and flat. Next, lay your batting out. Even up the edges there at the bottom that are towards you, and lay the batting out nice and flat again with your hands, pressing out any wrinkles that may be in the batting. Then take your quilt top and even it up on the edge there, the part that's towards you, and then roll it to meet the other two pool noodles toward the back of the table, and spread everything out nice and even with your hands, as flat as it can be. Today I'm going to use basting spray to baste my quilt together. If you're using a spray though, be sure to open a window and wear a mask for the fumes. To protect my table from overspray, I do use a towel and some parchment paper. From my 5 odd sewing tools video, we are going to utilize one of those hacks, and it's putting the pool noodles on the edge of our table, but this time it's going to help us so that our pool noodles that are rolled up don't roll off. The next step, lift your top and your batting up, only exposing the backing. Spray it, then lift your batting down. Smooth everything out with your hands, being sure that there are no wrinkles whatsoever. And then the next thing you're going to do is spray your batting. And after you spray your batting real good and you've covered all the area, go ahead and take your quilt top and lay that part down. Smooth out everything, all the wrinkles, being sure that it's nice and flat. That is the first part. That beginning part is going to be what goes on our 4th pool noodle to start it. Now grab that 4th pool noodle and some pins and go ahead and just like we did them singly, now we're going to do them all together on one pool noodle. Go ahead and lift it up and pin it there in the middle and then do the sides. Now you want to make sure that this part is really even as you roll it up onto that pool noodle. And then you want to just go ahead and roll up only the part that is basted so far. So only the part that you sprayed so far. As you start to roll that beginning part, go ahead and pull all of the quilt and pool noodles towards you. Once you have all 3 layers that are basted up on that 4th pool noodle, then you're going to roll the quilt top toward that. And then you're going to roll the batting toward that, which exposes the backing again. And make sure you give yourself a good enough space there. And you're going to spray it, just like you see me do here in the video. And then after you've sprayed that, you're going to roll back the batting. And as you're rolling it back, you're spreading with your hand and you're smoothing out really nice so that there's no wrinkles at all. And then when that part's done, grab your spray and go ahead and spray that whole area on the batting. And then you're going to take your quilt top, spread everything out right on top of that batting, smoothing with your hands all the way so that there are no wrinkles left. Once that's nice and smooth, grab that 4th pool noodle and roll up that freshly basted area that you just basted together. Roll it up and then pull the whole thing towards you. Then you're going to roll the backing out toward the back of the table, just like you see me do right there. Spread everything out, spray it, then take your batting and roll it right over that freshly sprayed backing, spreading out just as you did throughout the whole process, making sure that everything is nice and smooth. And then you're going to take your spray again and spray the batting. And then you're going to take your quilt top and roll it over top of the batting, smoothing the whole way. You will continue this process until you get to the very end of your quilt top, batting, and backing, being sure that everything is as smooth and as even as it possibly can be. When you get to the end of the quilt, go ahead and take out all of the pins that you initially first put in all of the pool noodles. This process is so quick. When you finally get to the end, you're like, oh, wow, I'm at the end already. Once all of your pins are out, you can set those 3 pool noodles aside, and then you're going to go ahead and baste the very end of your quilt. You are going to spray the backing and then lay your batting down and spread out nice and evenly with your hands so there's no wrinkles. And then you're going to spray the top of the batting and then lay your quilt top down, spreading out nice and evenly with your hands. When you end up at the end, this is when you can cut off any extra that you may have excess of. Like I had extra batting, so I went ahead and just cut a strip of that off. I did not show that on video though. But once you have the end all done and basted, you're going to continue rolling it up all on that 4th pool noodle. As promised, how to tell the difference between the back and the front, or the right and the wrong side of your batting. Lift your batting up just a bit and steady it. Take your pin and I want you to look away. Be sure that your fingers are out of the way though. And what I want you to do is just nice and easily start poking the batting without looking at it. What you're looking for is resistance. Turn it over, steady your hand, fingers out of the way, look away, and go ahead and start poking the other side. If you are meeting resistance, you have found the flat back side of your batting, and that goes toward the backing. If your pin goes in nice and smoothly and meets no resistance, you have found the fluffy side, the bumpy side, the side that goes toward your quilt top. I hope that makes sense for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.